Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Beyond the 9450, brought to you by the 9450. We are your hosts, 21 Titles. I am Brittany, and this is.
Chanteé.
And Beyond the 9450 covers all things business of sports, from NIL to WNBA business. We cover it all, and we cover all sectors. Today, we will be talking about how WNBA teams are sold and purchased. There's been a bevy of tweets in the Twitterverse that have showed us um, there's been some foul play going on with some WNBA expansion sales. So, Shantae, let's get into it.
Hmm. Let's get into it. So yeah, like Brittany mentioned, probably about what, 2 weeks ago now? I'm looking at I'm trying to find the tweet, but I feel like it was 2 weeks ago almost. It hit all on the interwebs
Yes, social
that
media.
the WNBA was actually interested in buying the Connecticut Sun. And
Correct.
so they were interested in buying the Connecticut Sun, or it was reported that they were interested in buying the Connecticut Sun for $250 million. Now, we thought it was important to have this conversation because number one, I don't think many people know, just the details of how teams go about selling a franchise or a team. Um, but then also to dive a little bit deeper into like the details of like the Connecticut Sun, how this all came about, the 250 million versus the 325 million dollars that was offered to purchase the team and all of that stuff. So I think we should start out by giving some background as to what we're even talking about. Um, so the Mohegan tribe, right? The Mohegan tribe actually own the Connecticut Sun, but it's important to say that they received ownership of the Connecticut Sun in 2003. They made history by becoming the first Native American tribe to actually own a professional sports team. But they didn't purchase the Connecticut Sun, they purchased the Orlando Miracle,
Right.
which was a WNBA team. And that franchise was founded in 1999. And when that was founded, the Orlando Miracle was the sister team of the Orlando Magic. It's important to start there because, like Brittany and I have mentioned on a previous Beyond the 9450 episode, when we talked about, different franchises, specifically like the Chicago Sky and a few other, Seattle Storm, most of these teams have brother teams, NBA teams. So the NBA team's involvement, I mean, NBA's involvement in WNBA business has always been a thing. They actually, in but so many words, kind of created the WNBA back in '97. Um, so they have a big interest in how the WNBA does business. And so I just wanted to start there. So the Miracle in 2003, they relocated to Uncasville, Connecticut. And then that's when the team became the Connecticut Sun. Um, and so just keeping that in mind, we fast forward to now where the Mohegan tribe, they've been expressing their interest in selling the team. They actually have been expressing their interest in selling the Connecticut Sun for over a year. So this
Mm,
isn't
right.
new information to us. Well, it may be new information to us, like the general public, but not to Kathy and her people in the W. They knew that they were interested in selling the team. So much so that back like last year, Kathy was like, hey, before you actually look into like other potential buyers, I want you to speak to the potential buyers over in Cleveland. Now we know Cleveland will be starting their franchise, I think in what, 2026 or something like that,
Yeah.
2027. One of them, one in the near future. But Kathy and her people was like, before you look anywhere else, holler at the owners, the potential owners at Cleveland, because if you're able to strike a deal in Cleveland, we'll let you do it. We'll let you get it off because that was one of the 10 teams or 10 cities that the WNBA already had in mind for expansion.
Right.
Long story less long, it didn't work out. It didn't work out between the Mohegan tribe and Cleveland. So the Mohegan tribe already had like 15 other people that were interested in buying the Connecticut Sun. So they were like, okay, well, we're going to go to the other 15 on the list. Kathy and the W wasn't excited about that. They weren't supportive of that move because obviously the WNBA has its own interest in the cities in which it will want to expand to. Now, we obviously, like we just said, we knew they wanted to expand to Cleveland. We know Houston was another place. We know Austin was another, like, then there was other cities that put in bids that have not gotten a franchise as of yet. But we do know that Houston, there was a possibility for Houston. There's been conversations about Boston
Yeah.
and then Cleveland and a few other places. So, um, long story less long, we have Lassery, who was a potential buyer of the Connecticut Sun, and then Palika, Paliqua. Um, Brittany, fix my pronunciation for that. Um,
Pagulaca.
yes, I ruined. I'm so sorry. No disrespect, but yes, he also was interested in purchasing the Connecticut Sun. So him and Lassery. Lassery was interested in keeping the Sun in Connecticut, but moving to Hartford.
Correct.
Then Paliqua was interested in moving the team to Boston. Now we know that Connecticut in the past, what, 2 years have played in Boston. They've made
Right.
their appearance there. They got really good ratings, really good viewership numbers. We know Boston fans are diehard fans. That's another city that don't play about sports.
Uh,
So, you know, a lot of us general public thought that Connecticut may be moving to Boston.
that was next up.
That was next up. So both teams, I mean, excuse me, both potential buyers was like, okay, I'll buy the team for 325 million. It's important to note that the WNBA's highest bid for a team, or not highest bid, but like highest offering for a team to be purchased is $250 million.
Right.
So Cleveland, I think for Cleveland, the buyers bought it for 250. It's another franchise I can't remember that also purchased that got purchased for 250.
Detroit.
Um, it may have been Detroit for 250. But it's the highest in WNBA history. Um, so then you have these two potential buyers for the Connecticut Sun about to knock it out the water with $325 million. The league is like, nah, we don't want the team to relocate to Boston. We don't want the team to relocate to Hartford. And if in fact these two potential buyers and one of any of the successful buyers out of the two were to buy, like successfully purchase the team, they got to pay an additional $75 million for relocation costs.
Mm-hmm.
On top of that, the W's board of governors has to approve the relocation and the
Right.
sale. So there's a lot of like barriers
A
in
lot
the
of moving
way,
parts.
a lot of moving parts, and why there's been like a halt with this sale. We also heard details and read details that um the Mohegan tribe told Kathy, and the two potential buyers actually told Kathy and her people that this sale is on the horizon. And instead of, again, let me use alleged. This is all alleged. Um, and instead of Kathy letting the board of governors know this, she sat on it. She didn't tell them. She didn't tell them because the W's interest wasn't in those two locations or those two destinations. Their interest was in Houston. So that's what really got the interwebs and the tizzy. And
Yes, the Twitterverse was definitely in a frenzy when this hit.
yes. And good reason, right? Like, first of all, Kathy doesn't have the best reputation when it comes to business practices, which is interesting because, she was just throwing shade at the WNBA players while they're negotiating their CBA.
Right.
It just looks terrible because you were just talking all this trash about them, but girl, you look crazy. You and your people look nasty.
Yeah.
Nasty business practices. What it does look like to me is a monopoly. Okay. Like, y'all are quite literally, and when I say y'all, I'm talking about the WNBA. Y'all are quite literally controlling how sales happen, under what
Hmm.
circumstances, the criteria. It really, the control is really in the W's hands. But to be honest, it's not even in the W's hand. It's in the NBA's hands.
Yep.
The NBA owns the W. Again, the NBA owns the W. And what I don't think a lot of people know is that the WNBA owns 42% of the WNBA. Then the 42% shared by the WNBA franchise owners, the other 42%, there's another 42% that is shared by WNBA franchise owners. And then there's another 16% held by investor consortium that was created in 2022 when the WNBA was trying to raise capital.
Hmm.
I ain't gonna hold you. I wasn't familiar with the raise.
Yeah,
Um,
we had to go back.
yeah, I was about to say, do you want to talk about it now, or you want to wait to talk about it?
Yeah, we can wait. I want to.
Okay, okay. So, it's again important to note that each team, it just seems like the W moving forward wants to make sure that each team, WNBA team, has an NBA brother team associated. And if you don't have an NBA team associated with your WNBA franchise, it's pretty much over for you because the W has its own interests in specific cities, in specific destinations. Now, it's also being talked about in the grapevine, that the W is interested. Because, my first initial thought was, okay, I can understand why the WNBA may not want the team to move to Hartsford because there's no NBA team associated with Hartsford. Fine. But I didn't understand Boston because there's the Boston Celtics. Then,
Right.
the Boston Celtics was in headlines for the last year because they've been making major moves in the W. I mean, in the league, in the NBA expansion process, and the ownership has changed, and they're reaching milestones with the amount of money that they've brought in, and they talked about valuations and how much it's sold for, and so they're doing great. It seems like they're doing pretty good business over in Boston. So I didn't understand why the W would be opposed to moving the team to Boston. But then I thought about it. Yeah. And then I read something. And I'm like, oh, the W want to flip. They want to take the Connecticut Sun and flip it for more bread. So okay, you got these two potential owners that will buy for 325. The W may be like, that's too low. That's too low still. How about we just focus on the cities we already had an interest in, one being Houston. We get that deal done, but then circle back to Boston at a different time because it seems like we may be able to sell it for 400 or 500 million dollars instead of 325. So we can really knock them over the head. We could really knock them over the head if we just do this.
She won another historic moment. That's why.
And that's what I'm about to say. The WC, like, it's all, I mean, granted, yes, it's business. Like, yes, I can, and that's okay. So I feel like we really be kicking the W's back in. And I can see this on both sides of the coin, if in fact that's what they trying to do. I can understand them wanting to expand to the cities in which they want to expand to. Like Kathy and her people already been in contact with what's his name? The potential Houston owner, Fertitta, Tillman Fertitta.
Mm,
Um, they've already been in
interesting.
contact with him. They've already been in conversation with him. Um, I can understand them wanting to get the Houston deal done because, the nostalgia, obviously, with the Comets and people wanting, a team back in Houston. I get that. I understand that. Um, I can also understand, um, you know, the W, because that's the argument. The W wanted to make sure that the league rolls in the right way and in the right markets. However, it's in my opinion still showing like bad business practices because you have the Mohegan tribe who has been down with y'all since 2003,
All right.
and here y'all come trying to force specific sales at specific times. Y'all are controlling the way in which I do my business. How would this really how could this be viewed as a pro rather than a con if I'm potentially interested in owning a team? Why would I want to go into business with the W when I see that y'all are really trying to control and really monopolize how people do business with y'all? Like, what are the pros in that? So that's just a brief overview. There's a lot still to talk about and dive into. And I'm gonna turn it over to Brittany now.
Yeah, I wanted to come back to the 2022 $75 million dollars in funding because also too, what's questionable here is that Mark Lazary, who is one of the potential buyers of the Connecticut Sun, also used to be an NBA owner. He used to own the Milwaukee Bucks. So like not taking that into consideration is kind of, sketchy because, he's part of that NBA, WNBA, you know, sister, brother team there, okay? But I just wanted to say this because, yes, Shantae did mention that we do be kicking the WNBA in its back sometimes. But I wanted to highlight the $75 million fundraise because this is something that Kathy did right. Okay? This, she understood. And just to understand, Kathy, before the WNBA, before becoming commissioner, she worked at Deloitte, which is, we know, the marketing agency that is now the head of WNBA marketing, right? We see Deloitte is the creator of the WNBA app, right? So this funding that she did in 2022, she got it. She hit the nail on the head. Okay, so if you didn't know, Just wanted to kind of give y'all some background here, right? In 2022, the WNBA closed on a $75 million funding raise. And the raise included an accomplished group of high-profile investors. So Shantae broke down the percentages earlier in the show, right? So now it is 42% owned by the NBA, 42% owned by the WNBA franchise owners, and 16% owned by the investors. So this is the group of the 16%. Before this group of investors came in, it was down the middle. 50% was owned by the NBA and 50% was owned by WNBA franchise owners. Okay, so the raise included an accomplished group of high-profile investors, including Lorraine Powell Jobs, the founder and president of Emerson Collective, former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice, Columbus Crew and Cleveland Browns co-owner Dee Haslam and Whitney Haslam Johnson of the Haslam Sports Group, and Linda Henry, CEO of Boston Globe Media Partners and co-owner of the Boston Red Sox and the Liverpool FC. Okay? Among the investors with WNBA or NBA ties are Seattle Storm co-owner Guinea Gilder, Mickey and Nick Arison from Carnival Corporation and the Miami Heat, Susan and Michael Dell, CEO of Dell Technologies and a minority investor in the NBA San Antonio Spurs, Mark Walter, the chairman of the Los Angeles Dodgers and co-owner of the WNBA Sparks. Y'all see how there's a lot of like cross intersection in between these owners? Like a lot of them also own other teams and other leagues, right? That's the power of investing. Okay. Ted Leonis, Leonsis, founder and CEO of Monumental Sports and Entertainment, which also counts Powell's Jobs among its partners and owns both the NBA's Washington Wizards and the WNBA's Mystics. Herb and Steve Simon, the owners of the Indiana Pacers and Fever, and they're also the owners of Simon Property Group, if you didn't know. And then we have Joe and Clara Tsai, the owners of the New York Liberty and Brooklyn Nets. Star-studded power. Former NBA players Paul Gasol and Baron Davis and former WNBA star Swin Cash are also among the equity partners. This is extremely significant, okay? Kathy really understood that in order for the WNBA to be successful long term, that she has to pump capital into the league. And I believe most of this was allocated to invest in innovation, digital and fandom, right? And expanding into a global platform. So this is mostly marketing. This is mostly marketing. So they still need a lot more money. And I'm pretty sure that that percentage of equity for the investors is going to go up because more money is going to come in from more people wanting to be a part of this. So I just wanted to highlight that 2022 fundraise, very significant for where the WNBA is today.
Yes, absolutely. And it kind of like, for lack of better words, kind of swings the pendulum is in regards to like you said, percentages. Because although that 16% is on its own, there's still bits and pieces of the NBA in that 16%, which
Right,
then
right.
lends to me saying the NBA owns majority
Yeah.
of the W. So, not to get out of off topic, which Brittany and I are gonna expand this conversation across multiple episodes, but like this ultimately affects how the TV rights deal was negotiated. It affects like it affects all these things, right? Um, a lot
Yes.
of us was wondering why the NBA negotiated the way that it did on behalf of the amount of money. Like they have an interest in that. Shouts to Amanda again. She talked about the relationship with the NBA, with the Deloittes and all. Like all of this is like cross cross sec. It's just all entangled because
All
there is a
intersecting.
yes, it's a tight knit relationship between the NBA and the WNBA. So we'll be breaking that down in other episodes as well. But yeah, when it comes to the Connecticut Sun and the W, I also think it's very interesting that the Mohegan tribe hired Allen and Company, which is like a financial like financial group or institution that helps like facilitate these deals. But then Allen and Company's also helping the W with their
Right.
expansion. So like my first thought was, is this not a conflict of interest, right? Because
Yeah.
I don't want to use the same company to facilitate my deal when on the flip side they're also working with somebody like the W who wants to expand into Houston.
Right.
How does that even work? Like
I definitely have my eyebrows raised for that.
yeah, that threw me off just threw me off because I didn't understand that. I guess another thing to kind of talk about is just let me see, just the order, like given a high level order of how teams get purchased. I think that's important for people to know. So again, this isn't like set in stone. When we did our research, it was very similar to like any acquisition. Like these steps are pretty general. I'm sure there may be other steps that we didn't consider or find, but this is just like a high level overview. So step one would be obviously owner approval. If there are multiple stakeholders, they must all agree on the sale term. So in Connect for the Mohegan tribe, everybody had to agree to the terms in which they wanted to sell the team. Fine. Then they had to assess the team value. So that's just valuation. So they had to assess the team's market value based on revenue, location, fan base, sponsorships, facilities, etc. Step three, they had to organize financial records. So they had to make sure everything was up to date, the balance sheets, the TV deals, the contracts, the leases, all of that. They had to make sure all encumbrances were paid off. All of that was in order. Step
Mm,
four, they had to do their due diligence. So organize all documents for potential buyers, which includes any licenses and IP or intellectual property, player and staff contracts, media rights, compliance issues, etc. Step five, the sale process usually starts out privately, which is kind of what I alluded to earlier. Over a year ago, there was already, and probably beyond a year ago, there was already probably whispers and conversations happening amongst stakeholders and also probably potential buyers, right? Not official offers, not official conversations, but I'm sure there was conversations that stretched beyond the year that we talked about. So those buyers are usually um screened by having to show proof of funds or financial ability, basically to show that you got the money to purchase the team.
hmm
Um, and that the business plan aligns with the league's values, with the W's values. So then step six, there's a negotiation. So they negotiate the terms of the sale. Step seven, league approval, which is kind of where we're stuck at right now, right? The WNBA's board of governors must approve the sale, and depending on the team structure, may also need to be approved by the NBA's Board of Governors, along with extensive background checks that are done on the potential buyers. So, right now, specifically with the Connecticut Sun situation, that's kind of where we're at. We're stuck here. The Board of Governors has not approved this sale. Um, and from what I see, I don't think that they are going to approve the sale. I think that is going to remain quiet
Right.
until either the Mohegan Sun, I mean, excuse me, the Mohegan tribe decide to either bow down to the $250 million that the W is offering them, or they decide to keep the team. That's
Right.
also an option. Like the Mohegan tribe do not have to sell the team. They can keep it, or they can sue.
Mm.
But I don't think they're gonna sue because who would want to go against the WNBA? But it's an option. It's an option. They can sue under maybe something called collusion. That's the first thing I thought about. Collusion is a deceitful agreement or secret cooperation between two or more parties to defraud a third party, which obtain an illegal purpose or deceive a court of law. They're not deceiving anybody. But anyway, it involves a secret pact often between seemingly conflicting interests, to use legal processes or other means to achieve an unlawful end of deceiving others or a court. Collusion is most often associated with illegal activities like price fixing and antitrust cases. So that's what made me think of collusion because this is kind of like antitrust-ish because it's
Mm.
feeling very like monopoly, it's given monopoly, but then it isn't. So I don't know. Long story less known, I don't think the Connecticut Sun, or rather the Mohegan um, tribe, would move forward with suing the W, but it's a possibility. But anyway, not to get off topic, those are like high level steps. I stopped at step 7, but once you get league approval, then there's final closings, and then there's the press release, the announcements that we receive, the general public receives about a new franchise being made available. So those are high level steps as to how a team is sold and purchased. Um, I think it's also important to talk about the current valuations of the WNBA franchises currently. So
Yeah.
again, for the WNBA, the New York Liberty from 2024. We talked about this before. Their valuation in 2024 was 130. Now they're hitting almost 420, 420 million. What's interesting is that the highest valuation right now is for the Golden State Valkyries. And these valuations are important, and what why Brittany and I talk about it all the time is and again we'll get into this in further episodes, but the TV rights deals and how the NBA negotiates on behalf of the W, these numbers are important. Like everything, the the viewership numbers, the sales, the ticket sales, all those things matter in negotiations. So I just want to stick a pin in that.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to jump in,
It's
Brittany.
just how these valuations are now, like it just makes me go into thinking like, how did y'all get to a 1 billion valuation in 2022 for the WNBA? And now we have a franchise that's already at 500 million.
Mm-hmm.
Like just going into the media rights deal, right? They gonna have to after the 3 years, they're gonna have to evaluate this again. If y'all didn't know, the NBA negotiated on the WNBA's behalf for their new media rights deal. So currently, right now, for their media rights deal, the WNBA is making $60 million annually for their media rights deal. This is what I read in one of the articles that we happened to come across. With the new deal that's set to take place in 2026 that was negotiated by the NBA, the WNBA would be receiving $200 million dollars annually over that 11-year period. So they would be essentially receiving 2.2 billion over 11-year span.
Right.
And this was negotiated within the NBA's historic media rights deal,
Right.
which was negotiated for $76 billion over an 11-year span. Okay? So, like, I just think they have the right, okay, within this, they have the right to renegotiate the media rights deal after 3 years. So it starts next year in 2026. By 2029, they have the right to say, hey, that valuation that we did and that y'all did in 2022 and obviously in 2024 when y'all made the deal, we got to revisit that because we're hitting more attendance record numbers. TV ratings are up more, okay? So I think that this is great that we get a visual representation to see this graph by Sportico for the franchise valuations because this is going to come into play in 2029 when they renegotiate that media rights deal because at this point for me, it's grossly low.
No, it's definitely low. And again, I want to say, like, piggyback off what you said earlier about Kathy. So yeah, Kathy gets a bad rep. Um, and she deserves an Nasty Award. We said this on here plenty of times, and we stand by it. However, it is important to know what Kathy came to the league in what 2019-ish, I
Mm-hmm.
think.
Yep, yep.
And again, I'm piggybacking off what you said earlier. It's important to note that when she became the commissioner of the WNBA did not make a dime for its TV rights during the first decade of its existence. Again, the WNBA did not see any return off their TV rights in for the first decade of their existence, which again makes us Brittany and I both wonder what the W been doing, right? Y'all just been coasting that whole time. But fine. Then Kathy comes in, um, and like Brittany mentioned, she's bringing in sponsors. She's raising capital in
Sponsorship revenue.
2022, right,
Yep, yep, yep.
to put towards or allegedly to put towards branding and marketing, like
Mm-hmm.
Brittany mentioned. So we started to see a change in um the results from the TV rights deal at the start of like the 2016 season. Obviously, that was before Kathy came into play.
Mm-hmm.
However, again, when she came in at 2019, she understood it seems like she understood the importance of getting that branding and marketing off the ground so that we can start seeing some type of positive results from these TV rights deals that we haven't seen before. So that
Absolutely.
is what Brittany was talking about earlier, and hopefully that makes sense for the listeners. Like
Mm-hmm.
that is a positive of what Kathy has been doing. However, again, I want to pull it back to this Connecticut Sun sale. She's still nasty, right?
Foul play, foul play.
And she's not alone. The W, right? The Board of Governors, like y'all are nasty too. The fact that y'all act like y'all didn't know about this deal, y'all, also leaning on the fact that, y'all like, well, they didn't like Connecticut didn't put their bid in, but the other 10 teams or 10 cities, but y'all been knew about it. Y'all knew
Yeah.
about it. Don't act like
And
y'all didn't know. Y'all knew about it.
they knew about it, and they lucky we don't know who they are because they don't put that list out publicly.
Right. Of course, they don't put the board of governors. Of course not, because
Right, right.
safety. all
Mm-hmm.
type of stuff. They're not gonna put a list of who's on the board of governors. However, yeah, like they also deserve a nasty award for that. But again, they have an interest in Houston. They already have a potential buyer in Houston. Houston has a brother team. And it does seem like at this point, if you don't have now, granted, there's teams that don't have brother teams, but I don't know how long they're going to
Remain
last
the
for,
way.
or yeah,
Right.
or remain because you may
Mm-hmm.
be on the chopping block.
Yeah.
Um, if you do not have a brother team. Um, what are your thoughts, Brittany?
I mean, it's going in the direction that it started in. I mean, definitely foul play on this Connecticut Sun debacle that's that's
Yeah,
going on. It's just it's so ironic that this is happening before our eyes because these are the same people that were talking about WNBA players not having business acumen. I need y'all to exhibit some type of integrity. Um,
yeah. I think that I think there's positives and negatives to the NBA kind of.
yeah,
There's
but
there's both, right?
yeah, it just seems like it's not a real free market.
It's not.
It's
It's
a
not.
fixed market. They're essentially creating a fixed market. And if you're not willing to bend to the rules in that fixed market, then you're not gonna want to play. Um,
Yeah.
unless you come in as one of these equity or the one of the investors, because look at this, like when we talk about the breakdown, right? The 42, 42, 16. I think that that 42, 42 obviously is going to decrease at some point, and the investor percentage is going to continue to go because they need money. They need more money. They have to figure out ways to inject more money into the league so that they can essentially be profitable because we know that they are still not profitable. But this goes hand in hand with business because if you just do research too, the NBA definitely wasn't profitable until 3 decades in.
No, that's a fact.
So
But
I think they're on
they are.
the right trajectory, but still a lot of things gotta happen.
But do you think the WNBA will ever have full autonomy?
No.
And that yeah, and that's what I'm worried about. Again, there's positives to the NBA, obviously like having majority ownership of the league. But like the cons are, yeah, they never, I don't know if they're ever gonna have full autonomy. I don't know how that's going to positively affect negotiations moving forward, like with the TV rights deal. And then also with salaries. Um,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
I think all of this has a domino effect, and I'm interested to see what the league looks like in another decade or so.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna have autonomy. Like, just think about it. The media rights deal is $76 million. 76 billion, excuse me,
Billion, yeah,
with a
billion.
B. Excuse me, with a B. They're only allocating 2.2 billion to the WNBA.
Hmm.
That could have been a lot higher to help them grow a little bit more. If y'all interest is in the WNBA because y'all hold a significant share, then why not pump more money into them? At least 10 billion. At least 10 billion. That leaves y'all with 66 to go at it.
That's
That's
what I'm
enough.
saying. Like, why
At
not? And
least
that's what I don't
10.
understand. Like, my thing is like, I wish we could be in like the boardrooms because it's like, what
Yeah,
number were they like like what offer were they initially giving to the W piece of the 76 that y'all
right,
landed at 2.2? And was that really hard for y'all to get to? Or was y'all just like, okay, we'll take it? Like
right,
what was that? Because yeah, to your point, if I'm an NBA owner, I'm trying to get as much money as possible, even for the W,
right.
because I have majority interest in the W.
This is what
And
I'm
y'all are
saying.
crying. My owners of franchise are crying because they're not seeing a ROI right away. They're not seeing a return on investment. They like, I don't know, we lost $10 million in revenue. Like, no, we still in the red. We still in the red. We haven't even seen green. So, like, my thing is, I would hope that the NBA is clawing at
Yeah,
like getting more money for the W
yeah,
because you have a major interest in it.
that's a fact. Like, why couldn't y'all have allocated a little bit more money from that deal to the WNBA to help them, to be a springboard, to help them
It's what I'm
ascend?
saying. And then the W, are y'all pressing the NBA?
Right,
Because like we be on Kathy's neck, and we should never get off Kathy's neck. We should never get off the board of governors neck.
hmm
However, like we should also be on the NBA's neck
facts.
because they play a part.
You
But
hit the nail
Kathy,
on the head.
you need to be on their neck, Kathy.
Right,
Board of Governors, y'all need to be on the NBA's neck. Y'all can't be okay with just accepting whatever,
right.
especially because y'all not negotiating with that like directly with these companies or sponsors. Y'all need to convince and have the NBA understand what's happening in your business.
That's a fact. A pitch
And
deck
maybe
needs to be
y'all
going
not get,
around.
and maybe y'all are not relaying that information properly. And the nerve of you to be talking about the NBA players again, because y'all are in bed with the NBA. Y'all need to convince your lover. Let me stop playing around with these people. You need to convince them to negotiate better. And y'all need to, yeah, the pitch decks or whatever numbers y'all are showing, it has to be better.
I also want to know, like, when the NBA is negotiating on their behalf, do y'all still have WNBA representatives present when that's going on?
That's a good
Because
question.
if y'all just if y'all just operating in good faith that y'all gonna get it done for us, then that's a problem. I need WNBA representatives to be in the same rooms when these deals are being negotiated. Like, where is the player unions
The union reps, and
role in this matter here? Like,
I don't know if they have like I don't know.
because I'm pretty sure they were like, where did y'all get this $1 billion valuation in 2022? Like, where did that come from? Where?
I don't know.
That I want the questions. These are questions that need answers for
They
sure.
do. It's all very interesting. Again, we'll have to break down the TV rights deal and also like the owners of these like networks and the relationship between the broadcast networks are important. But yeah, yeah, I guess we can end this on just saying like obviously if you don't know, the WNBA announced this year in June that it will be adding expansion teams in Cleveland, which again is where Kathy and her peoples wanted the Connecticut Sun to be sold to move to. Then we got Detroit and Philadelphia. Again, all of these teams have brother teams, NBA teams. Again, we're
Hmm
seeing that trend. And again, the expansion fees for all three of those teams were also $250 million. And I know a lot of people felt like the Mohegan tribe was being shortchanged. The truth is, they are. They are. You're right. They're being shortchanged. But I am interested to see what the Mohegan tribe decide to do. If they will ultimately keep the team or if they will bend to the W's offer of 250 mil. And in that case, I will be interested in seeing what the W does with the team, which may be, moving the team to Houston. Um, and then maybe down the line eventually having a franchise in Boston, but selling it for way more than 250 mil. So it's all very interesting.
It is very interesting. But that's why we do what we do.
It is the
Because
W.
it, yeah,
It's important to talk about it. I don't necessarily agree with the $250, I mean $250 million offer from the W. I think that if you want to make the Mohegan tribe whole, and if you really wanted to get that team to Houston, you need to pay that tribe 325 at minimum.
right.
You really want the team in Houston, give them 325.
Yeah, because
Don't disrespect them with 250 just because you
yeah,
did that with everybody else.
right, right. They don't want to give up the bag. But y'all already put the numbers out. Like,
This one saying,
so
right?
it's like y'all would be just it would be
It's
that
a
would be
slap in the face.
yeah. Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact.
That's not that's not showing good faith.
It's
And how
not
y'all may do other owners that feel like selling.
right.
You don't
Right.
think there was calls made after that? Like, yo, we may down the line think about selling. They better not hold us to the fire at no number.
Right.
We
Right.
gonna
Right.
lowball you and you won't have a return?
That's it. Look, business is a power sport. If y'all don't understand that, this is a sport to them. It's just business. Don't take nothing personal. This is business.
No, it's business, so give me my money.
Yeah.
It's
It's
business. So no, I'm not taking the 250. I guess they're gonna stay in Connecticut. I
yeah.
guess they're gonna stay in Connecticut.
They got to
And
stand on business.
I guess I'm gonna redo these practice facilities. I'm gonna
This is
redo
what
the
I'm
arena.
saying.
Fine. You wanna
Mo,
play?
yeah.
Mohegan, Mohegan
Come with that
tribe.
energy. Come
Y'all
with
should
that
be petty.
energy.
Y'all should be petty. And
They
y'all
should
should
be.
redo the facilities because yeah, people don't like our facilities. The players don't like our facilities. But
No, they don't. They
yo,
don't. I agree with what you're saying. The
be
Mohegans,
petty.
yes, they should definitely be
Be
petty and then
petty.
come
Fix
back,
it.
come back in a couple of years, be like, this is where we value
This
that
is the
now.
valuation now.
You gotta
So
pay us more.
you gotta pay us more. You want this team in Boston?
Right.
So
This
I
is
want to see if they do that. What will the WNBA do to try to push them out? That's gonna be crazy. Ooh, that's gonna be crazy. You can try decide to be petty. I kind of want them to do it
right.
so we can
They
see.
should. It's right. It's only right.
It's
Y'all
only
should be
right.
petty.
Yeah,
Okay. And shout out to Sportico for these beautiful graphs. Like I really
yeah. I
love
should have shared them so
these
they could see. But
visuals. Go to Sportico and look at the WNBA franchise valuations increase graphs and the
hmm
WNBA franchise timeline graphs. It's a beautiful bar graph. They really I love their presentation and how they do this stuff.
yeah, it's important to see
Hmm.
the visual representation of the number. So let us know what y'all think. What y'all think gonna happen with the Connecticut Sun? Do you think that they're gonna bow down and bend to the W's offer of 250 million? and move the team to Houston? Or do you think that the Mohegan tribe will fight back? Maybe they'll be petty. Maybe they'll do something else. Maybe they'll sue. What do y'all think? Let us know your thoughts. We will come back next episode and probably break down the TV rights deal a little bit further. Um, and maybe talk about the raise in further detail that happened in 2022.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, let us know your thoughts. Hopefully, y'all enjoyed our breakdown of what happened or what is happening in Connecticut. And I think that's it.
Yes, again, this was another episode of Beyond the 9450 brought to you by the 9450. Make sure you are subscribed and are following us on every social media platform that is available. Find us Spotify, iTunes, Apple, everything that provides podcasts listening accessibility. Make sure you following us also on all social media platforms at 21 titles at the 9450. Thank you again, and we'll see you guys next episode. Peace.
Peace.